go back to method. And if I go over to, let's say, a new. Now, that really should be OQ1. I just hit the too many times. But let's hit new. Enter. Okay. Well, we'll just call this one OQ2.
Yeah, this interface is a bit old-fashioned.
Okay. Now, there's where it says rack tube, and if you went.
So this is the which method?
Oh, this is OQ2. Oh, we're in the OQ.
It's written all the procedure in here.
Yeah. OQ2. Now, if you want to follow that, but I was just trying to explain up here. This is where you're going to see a difference where it says tube or vial. This is going to dictate how far down those needles are going to go. So if you forget you have this thing set for tube, but you're doing, say, a 1 ml sample in a vial, it's not going to bring the needles down far enough so that the air, when it pushes through, the air, it's not going to be down far. It may just puncture, and that's it. What's going to happen is that's when you're going to tell is when it has blow up on your vials. That would be one of the things to check. But go ahead if you want to.
Soup. And where is this report?
Report is right under. Let's go back down to. Oh, here no. Go down to cancel. Okay.
So
You're down.
tube. Report if there is a printer. Okay, we don't have a printer. So where do I set in the steps?
Steps. Then you go across.
Enter or.
Oh, now that you're in there, use the
Plus,
arrows
minus.
up and down to give you how many steps.
5, enter.
Now, it probably doesn't say anything for volume because that is if you happen to makes things easier. If you got a long run with a whole bunch of steps and they're all going to, you wanted to pull the exact same amount, say 5 mils, you could put a 5 mil in there and hit enter. And after you did your steps, and it automatically drops down and makes everyone already 5. So then the only thing you would have to go in is put in the correct times that you want each pull.
No, we just pump flow rates. Where is that?
Okay, you're now,
And 5
See-
steps.
okay, steps 5, but, recycle on. See, they have you going to parameters already.
Yeah, that's.
That's parameters, that's up here, so.
I thought so.
Yeah, because then you turn around and you're going back to the steps, which is kind of funny, but you have to go back to parameter. Because all flow rates, recycle, media, and all that, that's all under parameters. And seeing that 3 and 3.5 over there, that offset volumes.
Action.
You can see the reflex.
Oh, yeah, that's why if you want to get more in front. But you see this offset and volumes over here, they're already at 3 and 3.5. That normally will work now for your first OQ1. The older versions, it's probably still in here. Yeah, here. Here we go. The older version of OQ1, when you're running at 25 mils a minute, you're putting in all this. Then down here, if the setup is a dual bath configuration, execute the following action on both baths. For dual baths, start the test on both baths with at least 2 or 3 minute intervals between the two. Okay, let's see. See, they took it out. They had a saying on the older version. Oh no, it should be here. There may be a need to increase the offset volume to allow more time for the medium to flow into the syringes of the syringe pump. Do not make any changes to the flush volume, just the offset. Save the method, next ensure the system menu action is set to flush sample purge idle. There's where you always want to make sure that's the auto mode.
All right.
So if you're ever in, you know all the time, and just, I always check it just in case a customer was playing around, you know, it's a new instrument, they want to play around and touch all the buttons, and then they've changed something. And then they wonder why, oh my God, something's not right, your volumes are way off, or oh, these are all the little things I check, stuff that I know they can easily just hit. But here, it may need an increase offset volume. More than likely, the older units, they were 2 and 3 mil. Now these are 3 and 3.5. Well, it was 2 and 2. We increased the offset to 3. We gave it. It says 3 mil. It's not actually a volume. It's really a time delay. So when that piston pulls down and at 25 mils a minute, it's creating such a vacuum through those vessel lines, and it stops, and that's how long it just sits, waits for all of it to still fill in. And in the faster speed, you just let it sit a little longer and grab more in there. Because what it doesn't grab, as soon as it clicks and starts pushing the other way, that stops. And there may still be some more that still maybe need to come. And there, if it pushes through, and if it happened too fast, and it pushes through, that means your line volume now is going to be off. So what it thought was line volume to get to the needles is now going to have a chunk of air with it. So when it stops and it's think it's going to come over to sample, that chunk of air is going to shoot out first. Then, so your 7.5 mils may now be 7.3. You know, because the other 0.2 got stuck up with still air. There wasn't enough delay. Now with the wider ID lines, the newer versions, and I think it's anything over 3 points, I forget what it is, 3 point something, 3.05 or something. They're already preset at 3, 3.5. You usually don't ever have to change them anymore. The older versions and all the DSs, you had to go in there and change them. Because at 25 mils a minute, it's too fast, the lines were thinner. And even at that, even if you put new lines on it, you still have to change that because the new lines are automatically now 3.5, 3 and 3.5. So you literally have to go in and change both of those. There's nothing in any of this paperwork that's going to tell you that. That's just something that we just learned by mistake with time. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, I just put all brand new lines on an older system. And there's no way that you can, there's no way you're gonna know until you're going to create the method. And I look, I'm going, whoa, hey, right away. Because if you're gonna be the one recreating OQ1, 2, and 3, you're gonna see it right away. Because it's gonna say 2 and 2. Oh, no, I want now 3, 3.5.
Yeah.
Because now they're newer lines. Even though they're wider, it knows that was the whole reason we were doing that for the bigger distributors, the wider line to make up, that was the makeup difference.
So I have one question here.
Yep. Here's the
For
rest
this,
here.
yeah, because of this OK test, first step is time 4 minutes, so it's like that. That means
Yep,
4
yep,
minutes.
yep.
Yeah, but we have 2 sticks.
Yep.
One
4,
better,
4,
one
5, 4,
Or this 4
15
seconds.
minute. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. And step
So we have row, all is on
One.
auto, 5 milliliters, 4 milliliters, then again 5 milliliters.
step 3. Row 5, 15 minute. Yes, 5. That's set. Oh, wait.
It's exactly as it say here.
No, okay, you're row 5, auto 5. Yep. Now, step 4.
Yeah, but this step is
It's step 3.
in row 5.
Yes. So step 3 says row 5, 15 minutes, auto 5.
And all the next are without any time.
Yeah, because it's dilution.
Because now your action,
Okay,
see,
I didn't.
certain actions are going to make the time go away.
Yeah.
Now, see, it says all, but you want to get yourself.
Here's no- I cannot select the
Oh.
dilution.
Yeah,
Here's-
then delete this row.
You need to delete, yeah,
Yeah,
because
delete this
you
row.
should have done that one first.
Yeah, and then the next one.
Yeah, but actually, its steps are in here, so this is a bit funny.
So you
No,
can,
no,
you can
because you
delete
did,
this.
you've changed step 5 before you changed
Yeah.
step 4.
And now when you goes,
And you got to get rid of all. So you want to go over there now and arrow to be row 3.
this should be row 3.
Yes. Okay, then get back over to dilution, and if you hit new,
But
well,
8
yeah, go
mils,
ahead, you can make
8
that
mils,
two,
No.
2 mils.
2 mils.
Or you can just hold it and it'll do it
Mhm.
real quick.
And then when you are here and hit enter,
Okay, now you need to hit new.
new was, yeah.
Yeah.
New or open.
And it
And
will copy,
it'll copy whatever
the
was
last
the
function.
last function.
Dilution and then
And see, it automatically brings you to the next row, and then you just need to make that a 3.
That's it.
and that's
Save,
row 4.
save
There, where save.
over here.
Oh, you gotta go up to the, yeah.
That's stupid
It's all
system.
old-fashioned.
Yeah, really, for like 30 years ago, it would be nice, but for now, it's too complicated. I don't know how people can use that. So we just method OQ2.
And then go over to the base where it says to run, it needs to know which one, so you gotta hit an arrow yourself over to where it says off. Okay, then toggle to where it have both A and B. And then when you hit enter, it loads it. Then you can go back, see, it's already said OQ2, then you go back to the main,
Enter and then
and it's there.
it doesn't work.
Oh, well,
How can we run both simultaneously? It cannot be.
oh, no, not simultaneously. I mean, you can hit start run there and then click it over to the other one. There you go. You're gonna be a second or two off. Now, sometimes they will, depending on the amount of time.
In the list of methods and
Some methods, you may have to explain to a customer that they tried starting this one and then they wanted to start this other one and it wouldn't start.
one method.
It's not going to start because if it senses a time conflict anywhere during the course of that run that this one is going to interfere, it's going to have you hold off. It's going to wait, and what you're just going to have to do is every couple of minutes just go back and try to start it, and then it will start. If it knows there's going to be no time conflict, then it will start running. But it won't allow you, if it senses at any time that run is going to interfere with the head movement of this side, because it wants them both to work, so it's just going to wait. But I don't think, I haven't run across it where, I don't know if it tells you that it now will start, or it just will say, and then there's times where if you don't have the right settings in here, it'll tell you time conflict, it's self-adjusting. Then you gotta go back into that method, because now it would have made maybe your 5 minute, it may have made the one a 4 minute, and your 15, it may have jumped it to 16. Well, there's something else that's off. What you set as your speed makes all the difference in the world. Now, where you may run into a time conflict is if you're running them close and you're running it at too slow of a speed. This is something you can tell your customer, oh, well, I want to run every, 10 minute, I want pulls every 10 minutes or something like that. Or for some reason, or I want it every 5 minutes. Well, you want it every 5 minutes, you can't run it at 4 mils a minute. You've got to run it fast. And it tells you when you're in there in the parameter, you don't realize there's a little box sitting up here and it'll say min time, minimum time. That's the minimum allowed in between pulls. So as you adjust numbers in that method, you can see that number grow or get smaller. And that's telling you, okay, you want to run this thing at every 5 minutes do a pull? Well, then we're going to have to, speed this up. And you can watch as you change the speeds in both, in all three, collection, sample, and other. As you change, you can watch that time, that minimum time, get smaller or larger. You slow it down, speed it up, and then you can say, okay, well, yeah, you can run for 5 mils or do a pull every 5 minutes, but you got to run at 15 mils a minute, and you got to cut down your offset instead of 3.5, maybe make it 3 or only 2. And there, if you're not concerned with the exact volume, which people that run test tubes, they just want enough for UV. Those that are running the vials, they really just want enough to put on LC. That their LC needle is going to be able to go down there and grab its 5 to 20 microliters for an injection. But if they want that fast of a time every 5 minutes, then they got to sacrifice something to get that 5, and that means it's going to have to run faster. If it runs faster, you also want to cut off some of that offset time. Instead of 3.5, bring it down to 2.5, and watch how that number goes down. But the slower they want to run, then they've got to allow more time. It needs more time, because then it knows itself it's going to have a conflict, and it's not going to allow you. It won't even allow you to create that method. It'll tell you time conflict, time adjustment. So it adjusted its times for you. But you got to go back in there and look and see what it did. Your 15 minute now is 16 minute. Your 5 minute pull you wanted 5 minute now moved it to 4, because it needed to open that window up. Or it might have made it to 6 or 7 minutes, and it's bumped everything out. And a lot of times it's just going in and taking that other in the parameters and making that other 25 mils a minute. Because other is anything other than your sample and collecting. And if you're that concerned that you want a nice slow sample collect to get it all, but you want all the other, you want the purge, the rinse, you want that to run fast. Because you're already concerned that you get a nice slow, and I don't understand why some people like to draw slow, but slow, you'll need that depending on what your media is and what kind of filter you're using, because that is going to create back pressure too. If they've got to pull that media through a filter, and before it gets up into the line now, and the piston's still going, so now you're creating vacuum. You got suction going on, so yeah, I can see where you pull it slower, the easier it may go in collecting and sample. But as soon as that's done, you need all those other functions, and you want to go quick. See, they're so close.
when you validate speed.
Now, see, yeah, when you're at 12.5, you're at a very super fast drip. You're at 25, it's a pour. It's a straight line pour. But also at 25 is where you're going to really find out if you've got a needle blockage. And the same now here at 12.5, it's dripping. You're going to find the one that's not dripping. It's spraying or shooting off. Then you know it's a needle clog. More than likely, because you've already got your volume that you want, and it may still
Tenía
give you the
problemas
same
con
volume
con mis
because you're at
sobrinas,
a
entonces
slow
se le
enough
los
speed.
pistones.
Yeah, so it does its 5 and a 4, so it's the total of 9 mils, and now you're not having, you have recycle turned off, or you have recycle on, but replace off. So then in your beakers, because now you're going to have every one of these pros are going to be sitting in individual little beakers. Do you have those in your kit?
Yeah.
That's my stack. It's those, like the white ones you see sitting behind my bags there. They fit 250 perfect. And they got their lids, and I have the hole in the center, so that each probe is sitting in those. And that's where I should only have 9 mils. And usually you're running 9.2, 9.3, 9.4. It's the first one, you know, OQ1 is where you're gonna have both on. pH is very hard to fail.
250 mils.
Yeah, but, and that's why you have that 45 minutes, but actually it takes you at about 38 minutes, it's done. Because I always, you know, sometimes I gotta remember when I gotta take the probes out to put them in the beakers, because that's quick. When it pulls that first mill, as soon as it switches to active, you gotta get them out and hurry up and get them in the beakers, because it's already at that time, because see, this is where it's a slow 4 mil. You're having all the functions doing the slowest it can go, except for others is set at 25. You gotta hurry up and get them out of there and get them in. There's times the beakers are falling over while I'm trying to get the probes in there, but you know, by the countdown at about 38 and a half, it's done. Then the pH portion is done. So you can take your time. You still have over 5 minutes to be able to take them all out and put them back in a beaker.
Start measuring.
Yes, and start weighing back your, well, you want to be there for that 45 because you need that 45-minute time as part of your protocol.
You have to make it for side A and side B.
But what's nice is the customers that don't care for pH, so they'll NA that. So there's 45 minutes of calculations I can start doing. I'm sitting there with my binder, filling in the numbers, doing all the calculation of the previous runs, or putting in their
But you
weight
can
tapes.
combine end of OQ1 could be start of OQ2. There was some combination not to empty the beakers and then to
Yeah.
put the water in.
You can start with empty ones. Do OQ3 first.
Yeah.
That way it fills them up. And then when you turn around and you do OQ2, it's going to
Because
be
you
9
will
mils, it's
have-
going to be taken out.
Yeah, you will have your initial mass when you weigh your.
I do them
pH
separately,
adjustment.
side A, side B, I do it separately.
No. We mean that for OQ1, OQ2, and OQ3, you always have to have either filled up with some quantity of water,
Yeah,
amount of
enough,
water,
yeah.
or empty. And there is a combination